I'm Jerry Shrove. I'm an ANC commissioner, and I'm fortunate that this particular park is in my single-member district. And I'd like to point out that only a block away are 3 other commissioners' districts, and they've also been involved in this project. But it is my privilege to say something about the park, about which I am inordinately proud. And that's because so many people have done so much, and I feel I haven't made that significant a difference. But I did want to say 4 or 5 things about the park. One is, this is not a new idea. A decade ago, Barracks Row Main Street came up with the idea of converting this wasteland into a park and worked on it for several years. Time passed. In 2018, it was still a wasteland, and Commissioner Allen came up with the idea of restructuring it again, and we've done that. DGS was given some money to plan the park, and a committee was formed. Some of the members of that committee are here today, that has been meeting weekly with DGS and their monthly, it seems like weekly, it was monthly, with their consultants and with DGS, and helping them adapt this park to the needs of the community. And I want to say one word, that very often we have opportunities to work with district agencies, and they're more trial than error. But in this case, we have had a really wonderful working partnership, and I commend DGS for the creativity that you can see here before you today. Second thing I wanted to mention just briefly was that early on, at the very first meeting of the community on this park, Councilman Allen said 2 things. One was he wanted this park to be a town square for Capitol Hill. He wanted it to be a place where people came to rather than walked through. He also promised that money would be available to complete the park. And here we are today with a virtually completed park and a wonderful opportunity for the community to have a place to come to and to meet. Thank you. Finally, I wanted to commend again the DGS staff for pulling this all together, and particularly this project has involved a number of DC agencies, one of which has been the Department of Transportation, and I'll introduce Mr. Lott in just a moment. But I wanted to mention also that the park is not yet finished. And if you come back in a few months, you'll find that there are 3 sculptures here that are now being fabricated that have not yet been established. Also, there is other work to be done. We want to have a relationship with the library across the street. We need to do programming for the pavilion that is at the far end of the park. And as the mayor knows, we have to do something about regulating amplified sound in community neighborhoods. Finally, DDOT has been a principal component of our efforts in this project and in all of our project as an ANC. And I want to now let you meet Everett Lott, the director of DDOT.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Commissioner Shrove. Thank you for welcoming us to your single-member district. This park is lovely, so congratulations to Keith and to Delano. I really like this park. It's beautiful. Again, my name is Everett Lott, and I am the director with the District's Department of Transportation. Again, my name is Everett Lott, and I am the director of the District's Department of Transportation, and I'm really excited to be here at this beautiful park to celebrate DDOT's new budget. I want to thank the mayor for her investment and prioritizing transportation in this fiscal year 22 budget, which we will continue to build a world-class transportation network for a world-class city. This budget makes huge investments in the transit systems we manage at DDOT that help to get Washingtonians everywhere throughout the city safely. With this investment, we'll make the DC circulator free, continue our work to make affordable transportation a reality in the district. We are also excited that in just a few short years, we will return the circulator, the DC circulator, towards 7 with a new 14.56-mile stretch or route to provide a unique east-west connection between Deanwood and Union Station. In addition, there's over 3,500 new e-bikes that's been allocated in this new budget. The Capital Bike Share, which you see behind me, will add more than 80 stations in the district, which will help reach our goal of making sure that every resident throughout Washington, D.C. has a station within 1/4 mile of their home. And we will continue to improve infrastructure to make it easier and safer to get around, to make regardless of how you decide to travel. And over the last 3 years, the DDOT team has worked increasingly hard and incredibly hard to repave and repair our roadways, with over 300 miles of roadways and over 100 miles of sidewalks, and over 855 alleys across all 8 wards through our Pave DC program. And we still have a lot of work to do. This budget supports our continued efforts to bring our infrastructure to a state of good repair. And by the year 2025, our roads, our sidewalks, and our alleys will be completely repaired and replaced thanks to the mayor's investment. And of course, this budget strengthens our commitment to safety on our streets through our Vision Zero program. We will invest more money in our outreach around Vision Zero to drive home the message that safety is everyone's responsibility. We will also build 10 more miles, actually 30 more miles over the next 3 years of protected bike lanes, over 17 more miles of trails for safe cycling and walking, which includes the critical 9th Street Northwest Bike Lane and new pedestrian bike trail between the Anacostia Metro and the Berry Farms community. The DDOT team is extremely excited to get to work to build a safer, more accessible, and more equitable transportation system here in the District of Columbia. So I want to thank the mayor, Mayor Bowser's budget, and Mayor Bowser's commitment to infrastructure here in Washington, D.C. And now I want to turn this over to Director Anderson from DGS. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lott, and good morning, everyone. Again, I am Keith Anderson, the Director of the Department of General Services, where our job is to build, maintain, and sustain the District of Columbia's real estate portfolio. Now, today's an exciting day for Ward 6, isn't it? It's an exciting day for Ward 6. It's an exciting day for this community. And it's an exciting day for all district residents as we celebrate the Eastern Market Metro Park project. As you know, Phase 1 of this redesign was completed in May of 2020. And we're excited about Phase 1 because it has something for everyone, to include playgrounds for children between the ages of 2 and 5, and for kids ages 5 through 12. There's also a shade structure within the playground area, a new splash pad, plus a boardwalk and lawn. At DGS, like I said, we explain our mission to stakeholders in 3 words. We build, we maintain, we sustain properties in the District of Columbia's real estate portfolio. But I'm also happy to talk about our sustainability efforts here, to include bioretention swells strategically placed throughout the park to reduce the amount of stormwater that reaches our rivers and streams, further polluting them. I also am proud of the team that we're applying for the Envision certification from the Institute of Sustainable Infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, what that is essentially a LEED certification for parks. And once again, the District of Columbia is at the forefront of sustainability. Now today, with the completion of Phase 2, we are closing out this project that we know originally presented some unique challenges. The question was, how do we create a park space that comes with the unique transportation components? Well, I want to thank Moya Design Partners, Land Design, AMT, our great partners at Keystone Plus Construction, and the Eastern Market Metro Park Advisory Team, as well as DGS's Capital Construction Team, for finding a solution to make this park work for this community. Please give them a hand. With Phase 2, we now have updated medians on Pennsylvania Avenue. We've closed the slip of lanes on the northern and southern ends of D Street, which adds an additional safety component. DGS has finished the southwest portion of the project, the metro entrance, where there is now a pavilion, and we've added a seating area, which is excellent. You'll see new lighting, new planting and trees, wayfinding signage, and upgraded sidewalks. I'm pleased to announce that coming this fall, as the commissioner mentioned, there will be permanent additions to the Eastern Metro Market Park, an original sculpture by native Washingtonian Jay Coleman called Loveful Hands, through the DGS Percent for Art program. I want to take this opportunity to especially thank Mayor Bowser for placing funding where it is most needed. This was a $14.5 million project headed up by one of our CBE partners, Keystone Plus Construction, and a majority of those funds were focused on transportation and infrastructure, as you can see around you. We are looking ahead to continue enhancing this neighborhood through our fiscal year 22 budget. We're excited about improving historic Eastern Market, modernizing the Rumsey Aquatic Center, and redeveloping the Hill East, as well as the playground at Watkins Elementary School. These things could not happen without Mayor Bowser, nor without her leadership. So I would like to thank her personally for making this happen. Thank you, Mayor Bowser. And at this time, I'll call Deputy Mayor for Demois, Lucinda Babers. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So, Mayor Bowser is coming. She's on her way. Unfortunately, she is late. So, guess who you get? You get me. I clap for myself. I am Lucinda Babers, Deputy Mayor for Operations and Infrastructure. And, of course, the Department of Transportation is in my cluster, and I'll adopt two more directors today, and they can be under my cluster too. But I am absolutely ecstatic to be out here today. First of all, we got gorgeous weather, and then we're in this gorgeous park that the Department of General Services have built, and of course the Department of Transportation actually helped do many improvements around here. And then I just want to give a hand also to the Capitol Hill Clean Team. They were there. Where did they go? Oh, now they're behind the camera, so I do apologize. But here they come. But they are also out here on a daily basis, making sure that Capitol Hill remains clean. In addition to the Department of Public Works, which of course does street cleaning, trash pickup, and a variety of activities. Now, because I have the mic, I get to say whatever I want to, don't I? But and if the mayor knew this, she would be scared. But but she don't know. But anyway, I do want to go ahead and I want to share with you some additional things that are happening in my cluster. And my cluster is referred to as Demois. And so in my cluster, first of all, we have some great agencies, and we are the cluster that we like to say we make the city work, because we have the Department of Transportation, Public Works, we have Consumer and Regulatory Affairs, for-hire vehicles, motor vehicles, insurance, securities, and banking. We have ABRA. Many of y'all have been appreciative of ABRA during the pandemic, I believe. But we have many of the, when you look around, energy and the environment, we have them too. So we have the agencies that make this city work and continues the city in terms of running. And so we have been talking for the past 2 months at least about the budget. And you all know that the mayor submitted her proposed FY22 budget and financial plan on May 27th. And we have been the agencies have been going through budget hearings with the DC Council in order to promote that budget. And so I just want to highlight for you all a few things that we have in Demois' cluster. that are really exciting. First of all, for Public Works, we have $100 million in the budget for a new for a new Bidding Road facility. It's our transfer station. So we're going to rebuild that because it's desperately in need of being rebuilt. And then when it comes to composting, we're going to probably try to see if we can't collaborate with one of our surrounding jurisdictions to use their composting facility because they probably have extra capacity for us. But we're also moving forward on food waste, yard waste. We are just about doing business, keeping the city clean. We also in that budget have $72 million as it relates to weatherization. There's actually $40 million for that. Energy retrofits, and we've got some good things going on at Kingman Island. How many people have been to Kingman Island? So Kingman Island and Heritage Island are some islands that, and they're true islands. So DC have islands. So if anyone tells you we have no islands, yes, we do. So we have 2 islands that if you buy a $10 fishing license, you can actually go fish, you can picnic, you can do a variety of things. And so I encourage you all, take your friends, take your family to either Heritage or Kingman Island because it's a great place to be. So Energy and Environment actually has some funds proposed in the FY22 budget for us really promoting Kingman and Heritage Island. And we also are going to be hiring some interns to help learn about the environment. Oh, wow. I got to give up the mic. So, I have been joined by Mayor Muriel Bowser, and she will take it from here.
Thank you. Greetings, everybody. I know that I've been well represented by a fantastic group to celebrate and talk about investments that we're all looking forward to making in DC's infrastructure and ready to talk about with the Council of the District of Columbia. We had the great privilege of presenting a big budget proposal, and we want to thank DC residents, certainly President Biden and the Congress for making huge investments in the district, as they have done around the country, so that we can recover from COVID-19. As has been the case for all 6 of my budgets, we have really been systematic in how those investments are taking shape. This budget, of course, and I know you've already heard from Everett about the specifics, so now we can go right to any questions about what's before us. Any questions? Yes.
I have a question about this.
Okay.
Yes, Juneteenth is what I have a question about.
Yes.
First off, your reaction to the fact that that this is apparently going to be a new national holiday. And then I'd ask you to talk about the fact that in D.C. we have Emancipation Day, which I guess is basically the same thing. Are we going to combine them? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's not the same thing. So Sam's question was about Juneteenth and the fact that it's become a federal holiday. President Biden will sign it into law today. And the first federal holiday for Juneteenth will be tomorrow. So happy Juneteenth in advance. And I will, of course, put into motion the Juneteenth holiday for the District of Columbia and district government operations. Of course, we would normally have a little bit more time to prepare for that, so don't ask me about services because we're going to deal with that today. But it will be a holiday in the District of Columbia starting tomorrow. This is why I say it's not the same thing. Maybe it deserves some explanation. So Juneteenth recognizes when, many months after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, that word got to enslaved people in Texas. and they were the last enslaved people in the United States of America to be free. And Juneteenth is the recognition of that holiday. We have a local holiday in the district called Emancipation Day, which is almost the opposite. Enslaved people in Washington, D.C. were freed by the Compensated Emancipation Act, the April before the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. So, in fact, enslaved people in Washington, D.C. were freed before their fellow Americans in the United States. So we continue to celebrate Emancipation Day. While both holidays are a good recognition of the history of where we've been in this country as it relates to race and segregation and slavery and our recovery, neither one of them address what will truly make Washingtonians free in our system, and that's statehood for the District of Columbia. So while we recognize that this is a moment to reflect on the history of the United States, there are also some concrete things that need to happen. Statehood for Washingtonians and voter protection for all Americans. So we don't want the Senate to think that an important act that they passed unanimously, apparently, relieves them of the work that they have to do for D.C. statehood and for voter protection around the United States of America.
Does the passage of this holiday surprise you at all? I mean, did it come from out of nowhere?
It did come from out of nowhere. I didn't know. I knew that the House passed it, so I shouldn't say out of nowhere, so I knew it was up for consideration. But I am surprised by it, that how fast the Senate has moved. I don't think they've moved fast on a lot of things. So thus it makes me skeptical. Color me skeptical, okay? Because I don't want anybody, as I said, to think that it relieves them of their obligation to protect voting rights in this country, which are under attack. And D.C. statehood is a voting rights issue. It's a civil rights issue of our time. That will continue to be the argument I make to the Congress. I'm testifying this Tuesday on S-51 that will admit D.C. as the 51st state.
So just finally on this, Mayor, so you're concerned basically that maybe people were pushing this as a way to say a number of other issues we've done something. Is that your concern?
That's my concern. That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
Hey, good morning, Mayor Bowser.
Good morning.
I'm hoping you can talk about the $100 million investment in the Benton Road trash transfer station. There have been a lot of structural problems reported there.
Yep.
How will this remedy those, and what's the timeline for that modernization?
Actually, I'm going to ask Deputy Mayor Baber, who wants to talk about the timeline. Okay, I'll ask Deputy Mayor Babers to talk about the timeline, but let me just say something in general. What I call the back office of the city. Every city has one. Every corporation has one. The operations that make the city go. We can't do anything. You wouldn't want to live in a city where the trash collection process was compromised. And I'm grateful to all the workers at DPW that were in person every single day of this pandemic to make sure that operation happened. You see a lot of folks around here in blue also. I think that represent the bid for this area to help keep it clean and safe as well. So it's very important. We pride ourselves on the cleanliness of our city. We have to make a big investment in that transfer station to make it safe. It's actually been down, and that's what it's going to take to get it back up and going. And Lucinda, do you know the timeline?
Right. See, he knew I was giving some good information before the mayor came. So, $58 million is in FY22 with the remainder in FY23, so it should be completed at the end of FY23. So it's not completely down. It may go down and up, but clearly that's a sign that it needs to be replaced.
Thank you. And then I wanted to ask also about the street, sidewalk, and alleys in good repair by 2025. How do you define good repair?
Oh, we've been working on that definition for a number of years to put our all of our streets, alleys, on a cycle, a 5-year cycle of attention, either replacement or repair. So we can look over a 5-year period and see exactly where we are. And let me turn to Director Lott to talk about how we assess those roadways.
Thanks, Mayor. So we do both a manual assessment and also do an automated assessment where we have cameras that go out and do the assessment of the pavement. And we will manually go out and do that as well. So we'll look to see if those, if there are cracks in the side or in the roadways, and that will help us determine how much deterioration that has caused for the improvements that need to be made.
Sidewalks as well?
Sidewalks, we do that manually.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Bowser, as we get back to normal and open up in the city, one of the things that's getting back to normal is parking enforcement and the issuance of tickets. Data your office is releasing shows in the first week of June there's nearly a 300% or 270% increase in tickets issued. You know, what do you say to people?
Increase over what?
The week prior.
Oh,
when you weren't enforcing, right? I mean, you would expect that, right? I get that. But what do you say to people who may be getting caught off guard, or people who may not have even been aware that parking wasn't being enforced during the pandemic, but now that it is, they face getting tickets? Just what is your word to people?
Well, I would tell them to listen up. We have been, and we were able to give a good amount of notice about enforcement actions. And we, throughout, even though we did not have our DPW staff out in the middle of the pandemic, we didn't encourage people to break traffic or parking laws or rules. So if you've been breaking those rules for 16 months, now's the time to stop. And to pay attention to where you're parking, to make sure you're updating your credentials and your inspection and your vehicle registrations, so that we can all get back to business. Believe it or not, we really don't want to find violators. We want our road and sidewalk system to work as it's supposed to, and in order for that to be the case, we need people to be in compliance.
If I can follow up, you mentioned expiration dates on different things. What is the current status of getting DMV fully reopened, where people can walk in and get their registration renewals and whatnot without having to go through the process and the long waits that people are experiencing now?
Well, right now, Mark, we've made the decision that we need all of our staff back, which we don't currently have all of our staff back, but that's happening. People are, we still have people out on various kinds of leave. So we, as we are able to get more of our staff in place and all of our centers open, we're getting closer and closer to 100% capacity. There will be a period of time where we need the appointments, so we will avoid a crush of people coming in to the centers and having to stand in lines. And so when we feel like we've gotten over that crush of demand, then we will be able to come back to a first come, first served operation.
And so, Mark, I would like to add that vehicle inspection is first come, first served. No appointment needed since June 23, 2020. Vehicle registration since 2009. You have to go online or you have to renew by mail. So those are not two transactions that require appointments.
Hi.
Beautiful park. Liz, the Hill
It
Rec.
is a beautiful park.
I just have a question. We're talking about funding for traffic for road infrastructure. I have a question about a little further east on Pennsylvania Avenue. We've been talking about a redesign for 15th Pennsylvania and Potomac Avenue, but to my knowledge that has not yet been funded in the budget. Can you speak to when we can expect to see funding for that traffic redesign?
Everett, do you know the specific intersection, 15th? Potomac.
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Just down the street near
I
the
don't
Heritage.
have that specific, so we're gonna have to follow back up with you. Yep.
And my other question is, there's a huge investment we're talking about in protected bike lanes and pedestrian and cycling trails. Can we talk about enforcement when we find vehicles parking in those lanes?
Sure. So we are very focused on traffic enforcement. We also are very focused on making the best use of our police resources. And sometimes traffic enforcement is compromised when we're spreading our police all around. We do have, as part of DDOT's mission, the ability to make to use our traffic enforcement officers for certain movement violations, and we've deployed them in those cases as well. We are enhancing our traffic enforcement capabilities with more and more cameras in places where we know that they will make our streets safer. And I'm going to ask Director Lott to talk about that investment.
Thanks, Mayor. So we have made a major investment in our automated traffic enforcement to improve safety along some of our most traveled and busiest corridors. I'm really trying to change user behavior and driver behavior to make, again, our roadways safer. So you'll see we've actually already started in a $10 million investment that the mayor invested for this year in 21 for additional safety improvements that includes automated traffic enforcement and also upgrading some of our current cameras. In the next year's budget, you'll see that we'll have an increased investment as well, and also we'll be transferring the staff from MPD over to DDOT. Thank you.
Question, maybe for Director Anderson. When can we expect to see the art installed? Do we have a timeline on the art installation on the plaza?
Art installation? Oh. All right, very good. I'll stick around if there are any other questions from the community. Yes.
Hi, Mayor. My name is Gary Mercer, and I'm concerned about the crime, violence, guns, and what is the police and Department of Behavioral Health are going to be doing about the violence, gun violence in D.C.?
Well, I'm grateful for that question. We're all going into this summer very focused on making sure that we are really throwing the full of government services at a gun violence epidemic that we see in cities and towns across America. You know that this budget includes a $59 million investment in doing exactly that. So there's a big focus on preventing violence before it happens, the non-law enforcement side of things. And it is a big focus on providing more job training and opportunities, and a big focus on more clinical services for people who are experiencing trauma. So this budget represents, I think, a transformative injection of funds into making our city safe. Thank you. Yes, good morning. Hi, sir.
I want to know what initiatives are being taken to cater to the returning citizens, that the ones that's applying themselves and trying to, make the transition successful, reentry transition successful.
Well, that is a great question, and we have we've instituted a pilot idea with this proposal that we hope comes through the council. The question was, what are we doing with returning citizens to ensure a smooth transition? And in fact, what we've done historically is people who've served their debt to society have come home, and we've relied just on their family network to help them financially transition back to the city. And so what this pilot will do through grants through our Office of Victim Services is to say that we're going to provide assessments for every one of our residents returning home, and that could include providing cash grants, small grants, job training, and connection and coaching to services that the city already offers. And that transition period will be limited, but we think that it will provide the landing pad that people and their families need to help them integrate into society. We asked the council to approve early the use of some of these funds, which they did by emergency this week. And our agencies will get those types of dollars out the door as soon as possible this summer. Yeah.
Reminded. Can you update us, or can somebody update us on the air conditioning at the central cell block?
Sure. Keith, do you have an update?
Thank you.
Yes, we experienced sensor issues in a chiller that went down at the central cell block. Those matters have been corrected, and we are now monitoring the cooling. We are now about 74 degrees in one area and 78 in two others, so that area is cooling off appropriately. So the folks that are at CCB will have comfortable HVAC.
And what about at DC Jail? Have there been any problems so far at DC Jail with their air conditioning? I know there had been years past.
Not that I'm aware of at this time.
I appreciate the update. Thank you.
All right, let's cut the ribbon.